Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am back. Finally, after my long hiatus with the baby. She's doing great. Things are going very well. But enough of that. Time to get down to the nitty gritty. What have I been watching recently? What is this thing? It's Ahsoka. Now, originally, I did not want to watch Ahsoka. I saw the first episode, got bored, and tuned out. It wasn't until my friends were ranting about the fifth episode being just peak Star Wars that I was convinced to give it a go. And what did I think of it? Is this the show that's going to save Star Wars and the great Dave Filoni is going to lead us into a new age of storytelling? No. What I received was a reference-baiting show with as much depth as a petri dish. Hey, remember Anakin, played by Hayden Christensen? Remember Rebels? Remember the Clone Wars?
This is the Clone Wars!
Oh, look, it's C-3PO. How cool is that? However, underneath the shiny toys, we have a show that has a terrible script, and the world building is ridiculous. Honestly, it's not even Star Wars anymore. I'm going to be real with you. In my head, I have separated. We have Star Wars and Andor, maybe even Rogue One, and the Filoniverse. That's what I'm going to call it from here on out. That is what this is. The Filoniverse. Filoni's headcanon. Because it's so fucking stupid. And unlike the sequel trilogy in She-Hulk, this show isn't on the laughably bad side of things. It's just on the boring bad side of things. Nothing really happens up until the final 2 episodes of the show, and it just feels like you've been strung along for a ride that you thought would be fun, but it turned out to just kind of be boring, and then became a whole bunch of hubbubaloo by the very end. It's almost as if he wrote himself into a bunch of traps and didn't know how to fix it, so he's just like, and then like this happens, and let's talk about it a little bit and see why this show is a lackluster addition to Star Wars. And the best place to start is probably the plot. So, spoilers ahead, you have been warned. It starts off with Ahsoka finding a device that could lead to Thrawn, and she doesn't destroy it, which then falls into the hands of the enemy, and the whole show is her trying to catch up to them to ultimately fail, and then Thrawn escapes, with Ahsoka and Sabine being left on a planet in another galaxy. Great job, team. Done. That's really it. Nearly 8 hours. 8 hours leading up to that. Turns out that this Republic that they're trying to talk to, hey, no. Turns out the Republic is just full of bureaucrats who accuse Hera of just wanting to find her old friend Ezra and won't even spare their general, a squad of fighters, to even confirm whether or not that this theory is a thing. You're talking about you've destroyed the Empire. You already have remnants popping up here and there with Moff Gideon. And now with Thrawn, who is apparently the only guy that can bring back the Empire, like the guy, the next in line. It's like, the way the show has it, it's almost like you had Palpatine, Vader, and then Thrawn. So it's like, this is like the guy.
And you are?
I'm the guy.
They won't even send like a squad of fighters to help her. Nah. It destroys the legacy, honestly, of episode 6. It's like, great job, Leia. You know, this is the Republic you constructed. A whole bureaucratic mess of a bunch of losers. Great job, team. And talk about the boring aspects of this show. It is comprised so much of 30 to 45 seconds of people walking, standing stoically, and nothing is even happening. There was so much padded time in this show that I caught myself skipping in 10-second intervals to try and get to something that concerned the story.
You're gonna want to hear what she has to say.
I think I know how to find Ezra.
There's practically nothing in here. And the problem isn't even necessarily that Thrawn ultimately escapes, but it's everything that happens in between that's shit. From droids with tactical nukes, to lightsaber dogfights, to fucking space whales. Yeah, space whales. It's a thing. It's canon now, baby. But Jerry, you've got to see Rebels. You've got to read the book. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. I don't care if it's in Rebels. I don't care if it's in a book. I don't care if George Lucas himself said that space whales were a thing. It's stupid. Bad ideas are bad ideas. Speaking of powerful tools, we now have witches. Yeah, I watched Clone Wars. I watched the whole show Clone Wars, so I'm used to it. But if you haven't, there's witches now. Yeah, witches. I thought the Force was the magic system in Star Wars, but no. We have the Force, and then we have Dathomir magic. Oh wait, sorry. Alchemy. Right. You know the Force. The Force honestly is suffering from anime power creep. Remember the badass Jedi who's 900 years old and has midi-chlorians out the wazoo, struggle to lift a ship from over here to over there? Like, now we've got Kenobi lifting huge boulders, Vader ripping ships apart, stopping them in their place, and arguably, the worst yet, Ahsoka throwing other people. Now I know, ripping ships apart sounds very different from throwing people. However, hear me out. If you could pick up and throw an enemy via the Force, which is a ranged attack, why do we have lightsaber battles? Honestly, it should just look like the fight between Gandalf and Saruman. And on the note of lightsaber battles, remember when lightsaber fights used to mean something? In the original saga, 6 out of 8 fights ended with a missing body part, a serious revelation,
I am your father,
or the death of a character. When the sabers ignited, you knew some shit was about to go down. This can't be said for Ahsoka. With its 10 lightsaber fights, I can safely say it checks none of these boxes. No deaths, dismemberments, or anything relating to character development is in here. But what about Baylan versus Ahsoka, I hear you ask? Well, perhaps it's time to dive into characters, because this is gonna be fun. As far as the fight between Ahsoka and Baylan, he talks to Ahsoka about her former master, how he became Darth Vader, and how her life has been nothing but death and destruction. But this is after the OT. Vader killed the Emperor, showing that he can be redeemed. She should be proud of Anakin now, not concerned that she'll fall down the same path. They went their separate ways over 20 years prior, and they are two very different people. So this makes zero sense. The biggest problem with the characters in this show is that it just lacks that character. Most of the team we see are just stoic planks of wood. Ahsoka, stoic. Sabine, stoic. Baylan, stoic. It's like they're expressionless and it's boring. And as for Ezra,
It's your lightsaber, take it.
You keep it. The Force is my ally. That's all I need.
Beautiful stuff there, man. So Ezra apparently sacrificed himself in Rebels to stop Thrawn, damning his life to an eternal solitude or death. And he has been there on this other planet in another galaxy for 10 years. So in Ahsoka, Sabine makes a big decision. I'm talking about weighing the fate of the galaxy to find Ezra. If you're in Ezra's position, you're in an entirely different galaxy, and now you see your old friend Sabine, which means she has a way to get here and probably a way to get back, which means Thrawn can possibly leave, undoing your traumatic, decade-long fight. He should be furious and terrified.
I have so many questions. How did you find me? How did you get here?
Let's not talk about that.
But no, everything's fine. We're just gonna entirely ignore the fucked up things Sabine did.
Let's not talk about that.
There's no real conflict in this show, and thus no development. Every time anybody makes a mistake, or anytime somebody does something ridiculously stupid, or even gets people killed, it's like, nah, it's fine, no conflict. Where's the story? The only interesting person, in my opinion, is Baylan, who has a drop of something interesting, but he speaks so vaguely and in platitudes, I want him to dial it in. It's like, tell me more, you know?
Faith. I lost that a long time ago. The only reason I'm here is to secure the future.
For you.
Something far greater. How inevitable.
You're talking in these vague terms, but you're still somewhat interesting, and I want to know more about him. It's like, what is this guy? What is this character? Why is he the way he is? And he just, the entire season, just never explains it. And I'm like, just, damn it, you're so close. Finally, we can talk about Thrawn. The big bad that Disney's been hyping since Mandalorian Season 2. The guy that can bring back the Empire, the legendary figure from the books and Rebels brought to live action, fucking sucks. He is the embodiment of what a first-time writer thinks a smart person acts and sounds like. I would know. I've made those same mistakes before in my writing. Every plan he makes fails, but then he plays it off like it was a plan all along. Oh yes, don't kill Sabine because she'll lead us to Ezra, who we couldn't find with a Star Destroyer. Turns out he was just living in a village, just, chilling with some locals. Send 2 squads to kill them. Oh, they failed? And Ahsoka is here? 2 TIE fighters shall suffice. They were destroyed. And now they're approaching. Orbital bombardment, just all cannons fire.
Rain hellfire upon them.
You all missed. At damn near point blank range. Well, you see, this was my plan all along, and then they leave. Like, incredible work. What a mastermind. And they could have left from the beginning, but they didn't because apparently they had cargo. Your escape is right up there. It's right there. Just leave. Just go. Man, Major Partagaz would rip Thrawn a new one for the level of incompetence shown in this show.
In the grand scheme of things, one might even call this first match with Tano a success.
Because they've done such an excellent job so far,
Thrawn wouldn't be a secretary at the ISB. It's like in Andor, one single TIE fighter made an entire team shit their pants. In this show, and the subsequent other shows, it's like TIE fighters are just lame. It's all just lame. The Ahsoka series is an amalgamation of what's wrong with Star Wars. It tickles your balls with reference after reference, with no actual depth or story to be told. Dave Filoni is essentially a child playing with his favorite toys. It's such a shame that these are his OG characters, his creations, and he's done absolutely nothing with them. It's the laughingstock of Star Wars. We used to have characters, a fight that meant something, a world bigger than our own. Now it's blasters, Beskar armor, Darksaber, witches, zombie stormtroopers, and a really shitty strategy. There's nothing that equates to a decent story. As the saying goes, a mile wide and an inch deep. One can only hope that Season 2 of Andor will be better, and hopefully get the praise that it deserves. And that is my Ahsoka review. Would I recommend it? Hell no. It makes me wonder if I'm even really like a Star Wars fan anymore, because I love the original trilogy. I love the prequels. I think Rogue One's alright, and I really like Andor. But honestly, that's like it. I mean, I know there's a lot of Clone Wars fans out there, and there are things I like about the Clone Wars, but you'd have to cut a lot of filler content. I mean, if you boil it down, there's probably maybe 3 seasons worth of Clone Wars that's genuinely good material. And even then, there are moments in those good episodes that I'm just like, man, you guys are... There's just so many problems that come up in that show. But anyway, thank y'all guys so much for watching, though, honestly. I'm glad to be back. I've got a Boromir video that I'm doing breaking down his character. I've finished the rough draft. I need to redraft it and then, of course, film it and edit it and all that jazz. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for any other reviews, as other movies, of course, are going to come down the pipe. Just keep your eyes out. Thank y'all so much. Catch y'all later. Bye. What a shit show.